Imran was an ordinary man who lived alone in a small rented house at the edge of a busy street. His life was simple. Every morning, he woke up, prayed, changed his clothes, and walked to the shop where he worked as an assistant. His job was not fancy or high-paying, but he was thankful for it. He believed that as long as a person worked honestly, life would slowly become better. Imran had no family living with him, and most days passed quietly. After work, he bought a small packet of groceries, walked home, cooked a simple meal, and spent the evening reading or repairing small things around the house. He was not a man who spoke much, but his heart was soft and kind. One afternoon, after finishing work earlier than usual, he decided to buy some warm bread for dinner. The weather was a bit cold, and clouds were gathering in the sky, hinting at light rain later. As he walked past the bakery, he noticed something unusual. Near the trash bin by the side of the shop, a small figure stood quietly, as if trying not to be seen. Imran slowed his steps. When he looked more carefully, he saw a young girl, maybe 7 years old, thin arms, messy hair, and clothes that looked old and worn. She was trying her best to look away, but she kept glancing at the leftover bread pieces the bakery had thrown out. Something inside Imran's chest tightened. He had seen poor children before, but this girl looked different. Her face showed not just hunger but exhaustion, as if she had been walking for hours. Her small fingers trembled when she reached for a piece of bread but quickly pulled her hand back, scared someone might shout at her. Imran stepped closer, slowly and gently, so she would not run away. "Assalamu alaikum," he said softly. The little girl froze. Her shoulders tightened, and she looked at him with wide eyes. She didn't reply, but her eyes showed fear mixed with hope. "It's okay," Imran continued. "You don't have to be scared. Are you hungry?" The girl did not speak. She only nodded once, very slowly, as if she was afraid even to admit the truth. Imran felt a deep pain inside. No child should have to feel such fear just for wanting food. He walked inside the bakery and bought a small box of warm food, fresh bread, boiled eggs, and a few pieces of fruit. He came back outside and placed the box near her, not too close, just enough that she could reach it easily. "Here," he said. "This is for you." The girl stared at the box, then at him, unsure if she was allowed to take it. Imran smiled gently. "You can take it. It's okay. It's yours." That small assurance seemed to give her courage. She reached forward slowly, picked up the box carefully, and sat down on a step nearby. She opened it like someone opening a treasure chest. Then she ate, not fast, not greedily, but carefully, taking small bites, as if she wanted the food to last longer. Every bite looked like it brought a little bit of life back into her tired body. Imran sat a short distance away, so she wouldn't feel watched or pressured. He just kept an eye on her in case she needed anything. After a few minutes, he tried to speak again. "Where are your parents?" he asked gently. The girl kept eating, showing no sign of anger or fear, but she did not answer. When she finally looked up, her eyes seemed to say that the question was too hard for her. She swallowed slowly and whispered one word: "Far." Imran didn't understand what she meant. Was she lost? Had something happened? Before he could ask again, she quickly closed the box, stood up, bowed her head politely, and ran away. Her small feet moved fast, disappearing into the narrow lanes between the buildings. Imran called softly, "Wait. What's your name?" But his voice reached only empty air. The girl was gone. For the rest of the evening, Imran felt strange inside. He cooked his meal, but it didn't taste the same. He tried reading his book, but his mind wandered again and again to the little girl. Her thin arms, her tired eyes, her quiet voice, saying far. Wondered if she had a home, if she had eaten enough, if she was safe out there. The streets could be dangerous, especially at night. But he didn't know where she had gone, so he could not look for her. The next day, he walked past the bakery again, hoping to see her, but she wasn't there. For 2 more days, he kept looking. Every time he saw a small figure in the corner of his eye, his heart jumped, but it was never her. Imran told himself he had helped her once and maybe that was enough, but deep down, he felt restless. A small child wandering alone was not something a person could easily forget. 3 days later, The sky was dark in the early morning. Heavy clouds covered the sun, and cold winds blew across the street. Imran woke up, washed his face, and made tea for himself. He was just about to wear his shoes for work when he heard a soft knock on the door. It was unusual. No one visited him. His neighbors usually kept to themselves. He walked to the door and opened it. What he saw made him step back in surprise. There she was, the same little girl. Sana, her hair was even messier now, but her eyes were bright in a hopeful way. She held the hand of a young woman, maybe in her mid-20s, who looked extremely tired. Her face was pale. Her clothes were damp from the cold air, and she was breathing heavily, as if she had walked a long way. She tried to stand straight, but Imran could see the weakness in her legs. Before Imran could say anything, the little girl took a small step forward and pointed at him softly. "Mama, he is the one," she whispered. "He gave me food." The woman pressed her trembling hand over her heart and lowered her head respectfully. Her voice came out weak but full of emotion. "Please," she said, I heard you helped my daughter. We have nowhere else to go. Please, let us stay. Even for a short time." Imran was speechless. The situation felt unreal, yet he could see the truth in her eyes. They were cold, hungry, and exhausted. The mother's face showed days of worry and sleepless nights. Sana squeezed her mother's hand tightly, looking up at Imran with quiet hope. Imran looked around. The cold wind was strong, and small drops of rain had begun falling. The woman shivered, and her knees seemed to weaken. He quickly opened the door wider. "Come inside," he said. "It's too cold out here." They stepped inside slowly. The mother almost stumbled, and Imran gently supported her. Her hands were freezing. Sana stayed close, scared her mother might fall. Imran guided them to the small sitting area and brought warm tea. The mother thanked him with tired eyes, unable to speak more as the rain outside turned heavier. Imran felt something deep within him, something that told him this was not a temporary meeting. Fate had brought them to his door for a reason. A child hungry on the street, a mother struggling to survive, and a man living a lonely life. Somehow their lives had crossed at the exact moment they needed each other. In that moment. Imran didn't know their full story. He didn't know why they had no home, or why Sana had been wandering alone near the bakery. He didn't know the hardships they had faced. But he knew one thing clearly: he couldn't let them go back into the cold rain. He looked at them gently and said, "Wait. You both can rest here for now. First, warm yourselves. After that, we will see what to do." The mother looked at him with eyes filled with relief. Sana smiled faintly, a small smile, but a sincere one. Imran brought blankets, placed them around their shoulders, and made warm soup from what little he had in the kitchen. As they sat quietly, listening to the rain outside, something soft and warm filled the small house, something that had been missing for years. Imran didn't say it aloud, but he felt it. This was not the end of the story. It was only the beginning. The rain outside kept falling strongly as Imran placed the warm soup bowls in front of the young mother and her little daughter. The mother, whose name he did not know yet, held the spoon with slightly shaking hands. Her fingers were thin and her nails were pale, but she whispered a soft thanks before taking the first sip. Her eyes closed for a moment as the warmth of the soup reached her empty stomach. It had probably been days since she had eaten a proper meal. Sana, on the other hand, blew on the soup carefully the way children do, and then began eating with small but eager bites. Imran watched them quietly, feeling a mixture of worry and strange comfort. They finished eating slowly, as if they wanted to make every sip last. When the mother put her bowl down, she took a deep breath and looked at Imran with tired but sincere eyes. Sana leaned against her side as if she sensed her mother needed strength. The mother spoke in a soft voice. "My name is Aisha," she said. "This is my daughter, Sana." Imran nodded politely. "I'm Imran. You don't have to be afraid here. Take your time." Ayes's eyes lowered. For a moment, she seemed unsure whether she should speak, but then she gathered courage. "I want to tell you everything," she whispered. "You showed kindness to my child. You deserve to know who we are and why we came." Imran gently shook his head. "You don't need to explain anything right now. First rest. But Aisha insisted, her voice filled with the weight of many silent days. We have been carrying this alone for too long. I don't want to hide anything. Imran remained quiet, allowing her the space to talk. Aisha took a breath and began. She explained how she once lived a normal life in a small town. She spoke about her husband, a man who had slowly changed over the years. At first, he was loving and hardworking. But as time passed, he grew impatient and troubled by financial problems. His behavior became unpredictable. Even though Aisha tried her best to keep peace, their home started to feel unsafe and unstable. Sana was still small, but even she could sense when something was wrong. One day, after many arguments and struggles, her husband left without saying much. He promised to return, but he never did. He left no money, no relatives who could help, and no explanation. Aisha waited for weeks, hoping he would come back, but each day felt heavier. The landlord demanded rent. The small savings she had were soon gone. With no one to support her and nowhere safe to go, she decided to leave the town quietly with Sana. Hoping to find work somewhere else, she moved from place to place, cleaning houses, washing dishes, doing whatever she could find. But work was not steady, and her health slowly became weaker because she often skipped meals to let Sana eat first. Nights were the hardest. They slept in public waiting areas, at small bus stands, or under roofs of closed shops when it rained. Sana stayed strong for her mother, but her small body often shivered through the cold nights. Then one day, while searching for food, Sana found the bakery where Imran had bought bread. Aisha had asked her to look for anything they could eat, but she had not expected Sana to return with a full box of warm food. Aisha wept silently that day, grateful yet embarrassed that her daughter had to rely on a stranger. She had wanted to follow Sana and thank the man. But her weak legs did not allow her to walk far that evening. After days of hunger and cold, Sana begged Aisha again and again to find the kind man. Aisha finally agreed when heavy rain started pouring and she realized they couldn't spend another night outside. Sana guided her to the streets she remembered. They walked for long hours because Aisha needed to stop every few minutes to rest. Finally, Sana recognized the small house and insisted it was his. Aisha knocked with trembling hands, praying silently that the stranger would not turn them away. When Aisha finished telling her story, silence filled the room. Imran felt a deep ache inside his chest. He had seen many sad situations in life, but hearing this from a woman sitting right in front of him, holding her child so protectively, made it feel different. It felt personal. Aisha lowered her eyes and said softly, "We won't cause trouble. If you allow us to stay just for a few days until I recover, we will leave. I can find work soon. I don't want to be a burden." Her words carried both dignity and pain. Imran shook his head gently. "You're not a burden. You both need help right now. Anyone would help if they saw what I saw." Aisha looked surprised. People rarely spoke to her with such kindness. Sana smiled faintly and leaned more comfortably against her mother. The next few hours passed quietly. The rain outside slowly stopped, and the sky darkened as evening arrived. Imran prepared a small corner of his house for them to rest. He didn't have much space, but he arranged clean sheets and a warm blanket. Aisha kept thanking him again and again, but he simply smiled and said, "Rest. That is all you need to do right now." Sana lay down quickly, exhausted from the long walk. Aisha sat beside her, stroking her daughter's hair. Watching them, Imran felt something warm inside his heart. His house had always been silent, but now it felt alive with a new kind of warmth he hadn't realized he was missing. Later that night, after Sana had fallen asleep, Aisha tried to stand up to wash the dishes, but her body was still too weak. Imran stopped her gently. "No need," he said. "You are not fully well." Aisha shook her head. "I must help. You already did a lot." Imran smiled lightly. "Helping someone in need is not something to count. It is something we are meant to do." Aisha looked at him with quiet gratitude, unable to find the right words. The next morning, the sunlight entered the house softly. Sana woke up first, stretching her small arms and looking surprised, not because she was in a new place, but because she had slept in a warm bed for the first time in many days. She walked to the kitchen, where Imran was making breakfast. She stood quietly at the door watching him. Imran turned and smiled. "Good morning, Sana." She smiled shyly and whispered, "Good morning." Aisha joined them slowly. She looked better, but still weak. Imran gave them breakfast bread, tea, and eggs. They ate at the small table, and for the first time, the room sounded like a real home. Sana giggled when Imran accidentally dropped a spoon. Even Aisha smiled, something she had forgotten how to do after breakfast. Imran went to work but returned earlier than usual. He brought bread, vegetables, and some medicine for Aisha's cough. She was surprised and said, "You didn't need to do that." "I know," he said, "but I wanted to." Over the next few days, their small routine began to form without anyone planning it. Imran went to work in the morning. Aisha rested and slowly regained strength. Sana cleaned small things around the house, trying to be helpful. In the evenings, they all sat together, sharing small stories. Imran told Sana simple jokes that made her laugh. Aisha listened quietly, grateful for the rare moments of peace. Imran noticed many things during those days. He noticed how careful Aisha was with everything, how she folded the blankets neatly every morning, how she apologized even when she wasn't at fault, how she tried to help him with chores although she was still healing. She was a woman who carried silent dignity. Even in the toughest times, she did not want to depend on others more than necessary. He also noticed Sana's innocence. The child had suffered too much for her age, yet she still found joy in small things. She would draw pictures with the pencil Imran gave her. She would sit outside the door and watch birds flying. Every time Imran returned from work, she ran to the door with a bright smile, as if she had been waiting the whole day just to see him. But outside the house, not everything was peaceful. Neighbors began noticing the presence of a woman and child in Imran's home. Some whispered among themselves. Some looked at Imran with questions in their eyes. In a small neighborhood, people talked quickly. Imran ignored it at first. He knew the truth, and he knew their hearts were pure. Still, the whispers sometimes reached his ears. Aisha noticed too. Whenever she stepped outside, she felt the heavy gaze of strangers. She began to worry she was causing trouble for Imran. One evening, after dinner, she approached him quietly. "I think we should leave soon," she said. "You have done enough. I don't want people to misunderstand." Imran looked at her calmly. "You just recovered. You need more time." Aisha shook her head. "I don't want trouble for you." "People talk." Imran took a breath. "Let them talk. They don't know the truth. And even if they did, the truth is, simple, you needed help, and I gave it." Aisha looked down, touched by his sincerity. "Still, we should not stay too long. We'll talk about it later," Imran said gently. Sana listened from the corner, worried. She held her mother's hand tightly that night, afraid of losing the safe place she finally found. That night, Imran sat alone after they slept, thinking deeply. He knew the next days would not be easy. He wanted to help them more, but he also knew society wasn't always kind. He had to decide what to do before Aisha forced herself to leave again. Part 2 ends there, with a quiet feeling that the story was far from over and that something important was about to happen, something that would decide all of their futures. The morning after Aisha spoke about leaving, Imran woke up with a heavy heart. He didn't sleep well the previous night. Every time he closed his eyes, he thought of Aisha's tired face and Sana's worried little eyes. Their presence had filled his quiet house with warmth and purpose, and the idea of them leaving made him feel strangely empty. He sat on the edge of his bed, thinking deeply. He knew Aisha was right. People in the neighborhood were beginning to talk. But he also knew that letting them go without support would put them back into the same suffering they had escaped from. The thought bothered him deeply. When he stepped out of his room, he saw Sana sitting at the table, drawing shapes on a paper he had given her. She looked up with a big smile. "Good morning, Imran." Her cheerful voice softened his heart. "Good morning, Sana. Where's your mother?" "She is washing clothes outside," Sana replied. She said, "We must help you before we go." Those last two words, "before we go," hit him hardest. He took a deep breath and walked outside. Aisha was standing near the small washing area. Her hands were in the cold water, and she was gently scrubbing clothes. Even though she was still recovering, she moved with quiet determination. Imran stepped closer. "Aisha, you don't need to do that." Aisha did not look up immediately. "I want to," she said softly. "You have helped us so much. At least let me do this before we leave." Imran hesitated, then said, "You don't have to rush. You both can stay longer." Aisha paused, her hands still in the water. "Imran, you are good. But people outside, they do not understand. I don't want them to make your life difficult because of me and my daughter." Imran looked at her with calm seriousness. "I'm not worried about what people think. I'm worried about you and Santa. Where will you go? How will you survive?" Aisha stopped washing and slowly lifted her eyes. There was sadness there, mixed with fear and exhaustion. "I don't know," she whispered. "But I cannot stay here forever." Imran wanted to argue, wanted to tell her she didn't have to leave at all. But he held his words. He knew she needed time, not pressure. He simply said, "We will talk again later. For now, please rest." Aisha nodded without arguing, but her expression showed she had already made up her mind. The day passed quietly. Imran went to work as usual, but his thoughts stayed with the two people waiting at home. He worked faster than normal, hoping to return early so he could speak to Aisha properly. When he came back in the evening, he found the house neat and clean. The table was arranged, and Sana ran to him with excitement. "Imran, Mama cooked something for you?" she said happily. Aisha stepped forward shyly. "I made simple food," she said. "I hope you don't mind." Imran felt his heart warm again. "I don't mind at all." "Thank you." They sat together and ate. The food was simple rice, lentils, and some vegetables, but it tasted rich because it had been made with care. Sana told stories in her own childish way, making both adults smile. Aisha watched her daughter quietly, her eyes full of love and gratitude. For a moment, everything felt peaceful again. After dinner, Sana went to draw near the lamp, and Imran and Aisha sat in the small living area. The silence between them wasn't uncomfortable. It was calm, almost thoughtful. Finally, Aisha spoke. "Imran, you have given us a home when we had nothing. I will never forget this. But I cannot let my presence harm you." Imran shook his head. "You're not harming me." Aisha gave a small sad smile. "Even if you don't see it, others do. I hear the whispers when I go outside to get water." Imran had heard them too, but he didn't want Aisha to worry. Still, she had already made her decision. She looked down and said softly, "We should leave tomorrow." Imran felt a sharp pain in his chest. "Where will you go?" Aisha looked uncertain. "Anywhere. We will find something." "That is not a plan," Imran said, his voice quiet but firm. "You need stability. Santa needs safety. You can't keep wandering." Aisha's eyes filled with tears she tried hard to hide. "What choice do I have? I don't want you to suffer because of us." The first time, Imran spoke with clear emotion. "And what about your suffering, Aisha? Does that not matter? You and Santa have faced enough. You don't need more pain." Aisha looked at him in surprise. No one had spoken for her like that in a long time. Maybe never. She opened her mouth to reply, but Santa interrupted, running to them with her drawing. "Look, I made a picture." In the picture, she had drawn a small house with 3 people standing in front, 1 tall man, 1 woman, and 1 little girl holding hands with both of them. Aisha's eyes widened. Imran felt his heart melt. Sana didn't understand the situation fully, but she understood one thing clearly. She felt safe here. She felt at home. Sana looked at her mother. "Mama, this is us. This is our home." Aisha couldn't speak. She hugged Santa tightly, tears shining in her eyes. Imran looked away for a moment, not wanting to make her feel embarrassed. But the image of the little drawing stayed with him. That night, long after Santa fell asleep, Aisha sat alone near the window. Imran saw her from the kitchen and walked over quietly. "Still awake?" he asked gently. Aisha nodded. I am thinking. Imran sat across from her. About what? About everything, she whispered. About leaving, about staying, about Sana's future. She paused. I don't want to run anymore, Imran. I want my daughter to be safe. Imran leaned forward slightly. She is safe here. Aisha looked at him seriously. And you? Are you safe? Are you ready for people to question you because of us? Imran smiled softly. Let them question. They don't know the truth. They don't know your struggle. They don't know your heart. Then he added gently, but I do. Aisha didn't know what to say. She felt something warm in her chest, something she hadn't felt in a long time. Trust, respect, a sense of being seen, not judged. I want to help you, Imran continued. I want you and Sana to stay until you are fully ready to stand on your own feet. Not because I pity you, but because I believe you deserve a real chance at life again. I see his eyes filled with tears. She covered her face with her hands, trying to hide her emotions, but the soft shaking of her shoulders revealed everything. Imran didn't touch her, but he sat quietly, giving her space to release her pain. When she finally looked up, her voice trembled. I don't know how to repay you. You don't have to repay me, Imran said. Just stay safe. That's enough. Aisha took a deep breath. Then, we will stay. But only if you allow me to work. I don't want to depend on you forever. Imran nodded. Of course. We will find something suitable for you. For the first time since she arrived, Aisha's smile wasn't forced or tired. It was small, but it was real. The next day, Imran took Aisha to a nearby store owned by a kind elderly woman who often looked for helpers. After speaking with her, the woman agreed to give Aisha light work packing items, organizing shelves, and handling simple tasks. The pay was not large, but it was enough to help her feel independent again. When Aisha received her first day's wages, she held the small envelope with trembling hands. For her, that money meant more than just work. It meant dignity. It meant hope. It meant a new beginning. Sana also began to settle into the routine. She spent her days drawing or helping Aisha at home. Slowly, her laughter became more frequent. Her cheeks filled out from eating regular meals. The dark circles under her eyes faded. She looked like a child again. As days turned into weeks, the neighbors slowly stopped whispering. They saw Aisha going to work respectfully. They saw Sana cheerful and polite. They realized this small family wasn't causing trouble. They were simply trying to rebuild their lives. Imran's home no longer felt empty. He would return from work and find Aisha cooking or Sana waiting at the door excitedly. The evenings were warm, filled with gentle conversations and quiet smiles. Without anyone saying it aloud, they had formed a bond, one built not on blood, but on kindness, respect, and the shared desire to build a peaceful life. One evening, as they sat together after dinner, Sana climbed onto Imran's lap and whispered, Imran, are we going to stay with you always? Aisha froze, embarrassed, but Imran simply smiled and placed a gentle hand on the child's back. For as long as you need, he said softly. Sana hugged him tightly. Aisha watched them, her heart full. She realized that sometimes family wasn't given by birth, it was found by fate and kindness. Later that night, as they prepared to sleep, Sana whispered to her mother, Mama, we finally found our home. Aisha kissed her daughter's forehead. Yes, she whispered, we did. And deep inside, Imran felt the same truth. His once quiet house was now filled with life, laughter, and warmth. What began as a simple act of kindness had grown into something much bigger, something that changed all three of their lives forever.